YouTube family, welcome back to another video, and I just want to say a very big thank you to all of you who've been subscribing, liking my videos, sharing my videos, and I would love it if you guys continue commenting, because this is the way you'll support the work that I do, and I hope you're all doing good. So for today's video, I want to talk about a very deep conversation, and that is abuse. There's this narrative that has been said that we are staying for the children. I'm staying because my grandparents, my mother, my father told me that I should, what Kenyans we call vumilia, we should tolerate. We should be able to stand through the storms and stay in the relationship. Many times we don't talk about that men, it's in the abuse sector. It's usually about women, and it's a silent conversation. Men will not admit that they are being abused by a woman, so it's not necessarily talked about. And many times it's not physical abuse, but mental and verbal abuse. There are some women who really talk down on their man to the point that they affect their mental health. And I'm not talking about a woman who has gone through so much mental torture, physical torture, verbal torture, or mishandlement in the relationship. The man was cheating right, left, and center. The man was never good to her, never cared for her, never treated her well, doesn't even see her as a person but only an object. That is not what I am talking about. Sexual abuse. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about women who are actually just toxic and can actually damage a man's mental health. Many times women are not physically strong enough to beat a man, but they can really bring you down with their words, and their words end hitting on your emotions. Like always bashing how useless you are, how you're good for nothing, your children don't even love you, you can never do anything right. Why should I care about you when I can care about the kids only? Anything that can bring you down, they do it. But because this is a more rampant conversation, and that's why I started with talking about men, so that they don't feel like I don't notice, but allow me to do this video for the women. And these are women who are in abusive relationships. Abusive, especially relationships, also those in marriage. If you hear me, also walk away. Alright, if you've been watching me for some time now, you realize I always start my videos, but for some time I haven't. I always started my videos with, I am talking about good people, I'm talking about good men, I'm talking about good women in starting a relationship with them. And I always say, and I always make it clear, I am talking about abusers, manipulators, controllers, users. Good, genuine people with a genuine heart to start a relationship. And I always talk about relationships with purpose, which is a purpose to marry. You're desiring your lifetime partner. That's what I talk about. I felt, let me talk about abuse as a separate topic, where it's interesting how back in the day when abuse would happen, it's between a husband and a wife. And this is not, I'm not trying to make it natural like it's supposed to happen, but that was usually the standard. When abuse would happen, it was usually between the husband and the wife. But nowadays, sadly, it's even happening in dating relationships with your girlfriend and as a girlfriend and a boyfriend. That is where the abuse is happening, which is a very sad narrative, because you're not even bound by contract, you're not even bound by anything, but women are staying in this kind of relationships where they are being abused, taken advantage of, being beaten to the point they have to hide their scars, hiding black eyes, and some are even being hospitalized. And when you hear it's your boyfriend who did this to you, not even your husband. And again, I'll keep repeating throughout this video, I'm not saying it is normal. It is just sad to hear that you're staying in a situation where you have no You have no contract with this person. This is not your husband. This person doesn't even show signs of settling down with you. But you're sitting through like you're bound. You have these chains like you're bound in these relationships. Usually in marriages, people find it hard to walk away because their life is just based around this person. Women left their families to come and live with this man and start a life with this man. And they ended up having kids. And sadly, there's this thing that many women are not being empowered, that if you're in such a situation, live, especially in many African countries, you find that a woman was finally strong enough to pack her bags and go home to her parents, and her mother sits her down and tells her, even me, I tolerated, I stood through it, and you see, your father and me are still together. You go somewhere, the grandmother's like, unafaa kuvumilia. You're supposed to stay in there and be strong. What about the children? So I have this question. Do you want that the next time your family sees you is the day they bury you? Because your man is beating you down. Please remember that men have testosterone in their bodies and they are mighty strong and they can kill. They are stronger than you. Of course, I'm not going to talk to those women who've gone and taken some boxing. They have a boxing career, but I wonder if I would even think if a woman who can fight would be in an abusive relationship. But let me tell you, there's something in women I've realized. There's a part of us that we are so good at sticking with something. We are so good at waiting to believe that the person we fell in love with will change and go back to being the one we once knew. So the women always stay believing that tomorrow morning he could be different. He could wake up and decide, I remember why I was in a relationship with her. I remember why I fell in love with her. But you can have that dream and waiting moment. And the next thing you know, you're dead. I watched this story of a lawyer. That's why it's not about her it's not about her education as background, it's not about her career. It's just something in women that can be a gift and it can be misused, you know. I watched this story that happened, a real story, so basically a documentary on this woman here in Kenya, a lawyer doing very well for herself. She had a child and she fell in love with a man and ended up being the one who was even taking care of the man, basically. And the man would beat her to a pulp sometimes. She's been to hospital because of how she was beaten. Then she finally got to reach out to other people who mentioned to her that even them, they've been in the hands of this man. And so she decided to leave. Wise move. This man was not even her husband, this was just a boyfriend. Wise move, and I applauded her for that. But the thing is, I don't know what she lied to her, took her to Mombasa, then proposed to the lady was swept off her feet. Yes, she said, but we have to do better, but talking to an abuser is not the solution. Especially when they have beaten you to the point you've been hospitalized and you take them back, they know you can still be the punching bag. Long story short, it didn't take long. She died. He basically killed her. Good thing is now justice was done. He's rotting in prison for the rest of his life. But the thing is this, do you want to get to that place? Am I saying you can be listening to me and say, but you do not understand? My question is, as much as I don't understand, you're not safe. You're not in a good place. If you were desperate that you needed to be in this relationship with this person because you didn't have anywhere to go, I know getting a job in Kenya right now is hard and you're on survival mode. Plan your exit. Do whatever you can do to plan your exit. If you need to get to do small jobs, if he's locked you in the house and told you not to work, you can always find a way to maneuver through. Find something you can do, make small money, ask friends for a little bit of money to do certain things. Plan your exit. Plan your exit. If you need to go to the village, go to the village. We're living in a world where people have become more insane than back in the 90s, back in the 80s, back in the 70s, back in the 60s, and so on and so forth. The darkness of today is very different because of what we can get by a simple put on of our phone and swipe. There's a lot of dark things, and people have more dark imaginations. If you are able to log into the dark web today, people are paying to watch men beat up women, rape women, sodomize other men. People are literally paying for such things. They're paying to watch torture happen. So there's a lot that is going on that we cannot play with the mindset of people today. The humiliating your parents, your mother or your grandmother or your great-grandmother had is not the same of today. It's easier to get a gun today than it was back in the day. My heart goes out to you ladies who you entered a relationship with the heart of I wanted to receive the man of my dreams and I wanted a lifetime with this person, and your life dealt you a hard pair of cards. Deck of cards, not pair of cards, deck of cards, but you don't have to stay there. I'm going to be your small sister, your big sister, even your daughter, speaking to you and asking you, just plan your exit. If you are financially able to, please leave. If you're in a marriage and your kids are watching you being battered day by day, even your neighbors are tired of intervening because it never changes. They help you, but tomorrow you're back to the same man. Your son is watching you and is learning how to treat a woman. You need to remember that. Your daughter is watching you and she's learning what kind of man to fall in love with. Sadly, things repeat themselves. Your son can end up being the abuser. Your daughter can end up being the abused. That your daughter can change her mind and realize later on, and many times it's after she's gone through the grinder with those men, that I can do better than my generation behind me. And your son can also change the narrative. But you confuse your children. It is actually safer to leave for the sake of your children than to stay for the sake of your children. Because I know you have a dream where you want your kids to grow up in a two-parent home. You may go through it like your kids asking you many questions. Sometimes even sadly your kids can blame. But when they're of age of understanding, you can explain to them. You do not have to destroy the complete, I don't know, it's up to you. I don't want to give advice on that one. But please, leave for the sake of the children. Don't stay for the sake of the children. Because if you die through being battered day in and day out, who are you leaving your kids with? Who are you leaving your kids with? Are you leaving your kids with the abusive man so that your kids are turned on to? That he now takes out the anger that he's been having, that he had for you on the children. Again, I feel for you that you're in a tough situation. You're in a really tough situation. But society lied and made you stay bound generation after generation after generation. That as a woman, you can be beaten and stay. That is not normal. Relationships were never meant to be. As a woman, we are created to be very understanding. But the understanding was not meant for battering, was not meant for abuse. I've really talked about physical abuse, but also verbal and emotional abuse is torture, because you end up having a prison cell in your mind. You could be the most gorgeous woman, but this man made sure you feel like you're the ugliest woman that ever existed. You don't have to stay. Sign up, file up for a divorce. If you did a come we stay together, plan the exit to leave that house. If you need to, because you're so afraid, if you need to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. Seek help. There are so many organizations these days that are sheltering women away from abuse. Seek help. Seek it. Don't stay in a situation where it's so bad. Not even, it's even beyond toxic, because now it's dangerous. Seek that help and leave. You know, you're in a relationship and this man is nothing but your boyfriend. Leave. Go back to your parents' house. Go back to your grandmother. Go to your relatives. Go live with a friend. Go back to your campus dorm. Stop staying with abuse. We need to stop normalizing abuse. Abuse is not normal. It's not. And I'll end with this because I began with it. Even you men, if there are men who are out there listening to me and they've been struggling silently and it's killing them, it's killing them because you can't tell your boys how you've allowed this woman to destroy your self-esteem. You stay in the car for 2 hours because you don't want to enter the house because you're just going to be abused till they fall asleep. Or you stay out so late believing that when you come home she's asleep because you do not want to deal with the abuse. And when I talk about this, again I'll say I'm talking about good people. Good people who are dealt a very bad deck of cards. Yeah. As much as majority of these things happen to women, I also want to target the men who've also been living in silence and are hurting. If you need to talk to me, I am Eunice Wambere Global on TikTok as well. That's the best place you can catch me, to send me a DM and talk to me. This is going to be private talk, no one needs to know. Yeah, you need someone to hear you out for the very first time. Until my next video, keep safe guys.